Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Mac. Welcome back to the channel here. Having a look at the Wargame Design Studios Panzer campaigns, Tunisia 43 there. It's been voted there to be the first game to cover. It's been a while since I recorded actually. I've been very busy and all other kinds of stuff going on, but finally get to cover this game. So it's another Panzer campaigns game. Been covering a lot of them on the channel, and nothing new in the design and interface as of the other games. They're now all in the same sort of version from the Wargame Design Studio page there. There is a long anticipated, pretty big update for the Panzer campaigns has been announced on the web page there from Wargame Design, and so really looking forward to that. That's going to be a whopping upgrade to all the titles there. So let's get back to this game here. So Tunisia 43, very interesting title. It's actually kind of a smaller title, if I could be correct in saying that. Yeah, I mean, there's some pretty big badass battles in this game, but it's sort of covering a small sort of section there of the last North African action there between the Axis and the Allies in the form of the British and the Americans trying to really destroy the Germans and the Italians there in the North Africa campaign. So it's right at the end there. It's a very interesting time. At one point, sort of could have gone either way, basically, if it wasn't for the good old Mr. Hitler there that intervened and acted general and sort of spoil it all for the Axis. Right, so you got, let's have a look at the, let's dive into the folder first. So this is what it looks like when you install it. You got all the files here, and not that much actually to, not that much of a documentation to look at. I mean, you got the standard user manual, you got this getting started. There's a planning map, which is, there's actually a scenario or a file in the game that you can choose, and there's also a big map there, and notes, of course, and there's this, which we'll go into later on. Otherwise, pretty standard. As you can see, not that many scenarios, but they're good. I mean, it's a good game, definitely. So let's just see here what we got. Yeah, this, we can open this one, for instance. Here it says Map Viewer. Let's open that up. All right, so this is basically just a massive map here. Let's see. Yeah, so this is the whole theater of operations there. So go quick jumps here. This is actually not a scenario. It's just to have a look at the massive map here. It's huge. It's a pretty big map they got going here. Very well researched as always, with all the great details and stuff. You have there's actually 3D mode as well. Yeah, in this game. 3D, yeah, still has a lot to be desired, but 2D is good and crisp play it on. Right, so let's zoom out a bit. Okay, got Sfax there. Tunis, the last sort of stronghold here for the. Okay, this map is huge. Here it is. Yeah, so here you got Tunis. It was the last sort of ditch defense of the forces there. So basically, yeah, that's what it looks like there. So if I go back to selection here. So you have the getting started. You have the race for Tunis. So this covers basically the initial attacks, the initial thrust towards the last sort of area occupied by the Germans there, and then they will sort of rushing in reinforcements there, sort of understanding the seriousness in the situation there. So it's covered. It's quite long. It's 120 turns there, but it's interesting scenario for sure. You got Shuigyu, Jebel El Geza, all these sort of scenarios covering that, and then you had the Kasserine campaign, the attack of the Germans there. This was actually intended just a head-to-head there. The Kasserine battle, Medine. So all these scenarios here, they're actually covered better in the actual manual. So let's just go back into let's go into the manual here. So, or the notes, the almighty notes. So these are really good, as always. Really worth your while to read these notes. Very good. So they're going to go on about the introduction of the game there. When you started working on it in '99 there. Actually, that was Smolensk. They started with there, and then that it was a game, an actually campaign that was sort of the players were asking for them to actually release, and so they did. So it's kind of interesting. Let's see if I can zoom in on this map here. Maybe there's a better one later on. But for instance, here, so this actually is not of the whole North Africa here, but if you know your North Africa battle history, the Rommel was on the offensive all the way up to El Alamein, where he was stopped, and after that defeat in that massive battle there, the well entrenched and defendable British there, and he tried to attack and was beaten back and destroyed. Basically, lost a lot of forces there. He was racing back. He was on the retreat basically to go back and rectify his supply routes and stuff, and the British pursued, and right about that time, Operation Torch there, when the Americans landed and took the Vichy French positions there, and they sort of were quickly subdued. They started to attack from this side here. The British and Americans were coming in through here, and Rommel was on the retreat back here. And what the Germans, this was kind of it wasn't that well defended at the time, and they were rushing in reinforcements there, lots of reinforcements. There was a lot of troops that came in here, and tanks, and artillery and guns and stuff, and they were being supplied by sea a lot in the start, and then afterwards it was by air, because the Italian Navy had been sort of the Germans had been relying on the Italian Navy to hold the Mediterranean there. They were constantly duking it out versus the British Navy. But at this time of the war, the Navy was kind of the Italian Navy was kind of beaten down. They had taken heavy casualties, man, and the British were definitely taking the upper hand in the Mediterranean there. So a lot of ships were actually sunk, and the logistics was not the best for the Italians and the Germans here to supply, and they were sort of being supplied by air as well, and of course the Luftwaffe and Hermann Göring was always saying that this is right about the time when Stalingrad fell as well there in the winter of 42-43 there. So it was a lot going on, and they weren't supplied properly in Stalingrad, and they weren't supplied properly in Tunisia either. So, and it was going to become sort of a Stalingrad in Tunisiagrad, sort of going on here, because they were sort of the last defending the city here versus massive, overwhelming forces from the British and Americans there. They just poured in stuff there. So it goes on about that, the story behind it, and then they go into OBB, how they planned that. Yeah, this is really good documentation to read this. Order of battle detailed to OBB axis units, 10th Panzer Division. Division von Broich. Fallschirmjägers was there. Schwerpanzerabteilung. Those Tigers were thrown into this fight as well in Tunisia here. It says by December 9th, the second company arrived, but the unit did not have more than 12 Tigers and 16 Panzer 3Ns until January 1943 there. Good stuff. It tells you about the Kampfgruppen and the build up there, how they all these units were built up, and this because it was a constant change of forces during this build up. There was like a beginning phase, there was a middle phase, and there was the end phase, and so they sort of take that up here as well. The late OOBs and the middle. Some campaign considerations there. The weather was sort of very shifting. There was rains and mud as well. Sort of a it's not the classic desert desert sort of climate that you would think of as of the rest of North Africa. This is sort of like quite rocky and hilly, and sort of shrubs and greenery growing. So very different from let's say like the battle for Tobruk and all those areas. They had some research about the sunrise and sunsets in Tunisia, handling the air war. Yeah, so the air in the start, the Germans actually had an upper hand with the air force there, but it sort of was grinded down. They couldn't replace their units as good as the Allies could. It was the same on all fronts basically. So all that was taken into consideration there. So they go in. It's kind of a short thing. It's not a very long documentation. They have some good suggestions for historical reading if you want to continue reading about the war there. So that is pretty good. So there's nothing really about the scenarios in this documentation here, which makes me believe they forgot to look at one of those. Maybe, yeah. No, it doesn't say any more about the actual scenarios here. There's just the user manual there. I don't know about what's this. So look at this is the program help file. Yeah. Planning map. Yeah, this planning map is kind of interesting. It's huge. I think it's sort of the same actually as the one I was looking into in the game there. Yeah, it is. It's sort of the same. So this is, I guess you could print this out and use it as a sort of planning map on the side there. If you want to go real hardcore there, why not? Yeah, so there's another file. So if you look at the scenarios, let's go back into scenarios here. Right, so they do have a like a main sort of covering the whole thing. Let's see, this could it be the end? No, it's not the end of Africa. Maybe this one here. It's from April 22nd, 1943 there. This is a mini campaign intended to play head to head. All right. This one here this is the one, but I want to find the original massive one. Could it be this one? No. It's not the race to Tunis either. It starts at November 25th there. So, yeah, so this is the one I was talking about. The Allies and Axis powers each rushed forces into northern Tunisia at the earliest opportunity, assuming grave risks. The first air and ground units sent by the Germans and Italian landed on Tunisia airfields and entered the port of Bizerte. Lieutenant General Anderson's task force left the base of Algiers, hundreds of miles behind, as its units pressed eastwards along the coast and overland in a three-pronged assault, which did little but split these forces. Both sides were in a race to get and hold Tunis with not a lot of strength to do the job. Yeah, so that pretty cool scenario of that. Let's see. So these are all smaller scenarios. Kazarine campaigns. It's just made for head-to-head. That's not the one I'm looking for. Let's see. I have to go through them all, I guess. Just check the length of these. So there's no one. This is the only big one there is, because this one here is actually a version of. There's actually separate documentation about this. This one here. So this is many years have passed since Tunisia 43 game was launched. It received quality revision by Volcano Man that did improve the old stock campaign. Since then, new information and research has surfaced. So this mod is a variant based on the main campaign with new sources and research applied. So this is sort of the most recent version of the master campaign, basically. Let's see. Axis is heavily changed. Axis forces by 23rd of April have little resemblance to those from February. Not only in strength or in relative numbers, since they were forced to dissolve a lot of formations to somewhat replenish others. Okay. So this one is quite. This looks like a really well-researched campaign. There's lots of notes here about fuel and supply. They've changed map terrain, heights, battlefield special artillery units, defensive systems. PDT changes as well. There's night turns. It's only 4 instead of 6. They've changed the dusk from 18 to dawn, 4 o'clock. Max stacking is lowered to 1100. Digging, bunker probability, mines, terrain modifiers have changed. Air war, scenario changes. So it's now 210 turns to accommodate 4-hour night turns, the real length of the campaign up to 12th of May. Stock has about 14 days of fighting, which is wrong since Bizerta and Tunis fell on the 7th of May after 16 days of battle. Okay, so they actually included that in this one here. That's pretty cool. 250,000 POWs, man. It was a lot of units that surrendered in the end. The Italians actually fought very hard in this campaign. There's always was like the shadow of the German forces there, but in the end, they were the ones that were actually some pretty badass units fighting to the last bullet, basically. Yeah, so this goes on quite a bit there. So that is that massive campaign there, 210 turns. So I'm kind of not really sure. And in Africa, this one starts April 22nd there. So this one as well. This must be a mini campaign intended to play Allied Human versus the AI. Okay, and these are the sort of the long scenarios. Then I guess this one here, 122 turns. But it does say it's a mini campaign. So. Yeah. So they're doable. I mean, they're not like 400 or 500 turns like some other huge campaigns are in some of the other titles there, and lots of like sort of playable. I mean, good size scenarios to actually play in PBM battles as well. Definitely doable. So interesting thing here. I'm going to do one of these. I'm not sure which one. Just to do let's play of it and see how it is. Now that I've scrolled through all these scenarios, you could just pause the video there and have a look if there's anything you feel like you want to see me play. So see, there's not that much. So basically, because it wasn't that massive of a campaign as you would think, maybe some of the other titles there, like the Fall of France and stuff like that. I mean, pretty huge undertakings there. But very interesting sort of to see how it could go either way. So we went through the notes here. So there's not that much else to sort of show in this game, I guess. think you can download some of these notes as well from the actual web page of the Wargame Design Studio there. But definitely good stuff. Additional new rules change, it says here. Not really sure if this is applied to all games now, so this was as the game was being developed. Titles there. They usually added something new to every title as they came out, some new rule. It's actually the 20th title in the series there, which began in 1999 with Smolensk there. Yeah, so the yeah, good stuff. Yeah, so I'm not sure if there's much more to say about it. I'm going to pick a battle and do some more research about that, and then I'll have more to say. But this is what comes with the game, basically. So definitely a title I think worth picking up because it actually covers this part of the this theater of war here, because it was very interesting. It was, as I said before, there was a lot of troops that pumped into this place, and there was also a lot of troops that got captured and surrendered because they didn't get the supplies that they needed towards the end there. They were just undersupplied, and the Allies were well supplied, basically. So, but the amount of forces they actually put here was insane. But the Allies did have even more, so that's how the scale was tipped. It was like another war of attrition there, basically, as the East Front was won by the Russians there. So good stuff. I'm going to pick something, or if you saw something there, do type in the comments, and I'll give that a spin, that scenario there. And the long-awaited update would be fun to apply to these to this title as well. So I want to thanks for watching there, man. I'm going to round it off there, and I'll see you in the next one. So have a good one.